Hey, landlords, I want to talk about whether you need property management or not. This is a big question in this industry in Ontario, and it's if landlords actually really do need a property manager and pay all of the property management fees. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm going to give you my advice and what my suggestions are, and whether or not you need to pay a property manager to manage your properties. So I'm going to break it down in this full video. I'm going to give you reasons why you would not need a property manager. And I'm also going to cover reasons why you do need a property manager. And if you do need a property manager, I'm also going to cover interview questions you're going to be asking your potential property manager. And you need to really listen to them. You need to have conversations with them, and you need to feel really comfortable with who you're dealing with, because this is your business, landlords. You need to run it like a business, and you need to make sure that you are picking the right team to handle your property management. I'm going to give you everything you need to know. I own a property management company. I own a real estate firm. We have licensed paralegals that work for us that are in-house. We do several evictions every single day. We actually have 4 hearings today alone, and every single day we have hearings. So this video is for you landlords, whether or not you need them. And just by watching this, you're going to see the honest truth, whether you need a property manager or not. When you do not need a property manager, if you live close to your property and you're within an arm's reach of your property, you're able to handle emergencies yourself. You can understand non-payment of rent and to serve N4s whenever you need to send an N4. And you're organized with paperwork, timelines, and you can use your own property management software like Landlord Easy. So these are the cases when you do not need a property manager. I talk to a lot of landlords every single day. The first thing I like to do is break down what your concerns are. What are your frustrations? What are you dealing with today that you actually need a property manager? And I like to go over these details because I'd like to see if the landlord actually needs it. And if they don't need it and they just want some different types of services, we offer those services as well. So situations where you do need a property manager is if you live in a different city and you're not within an arm's reach of your tenant or your property. If you are having tenant issues today, so if you have a tenant problem right now, I think this is major and you do need some help and guidance. I'm going to cover some details in a moment here. If you're uncomfortable dealing with conflicts or problematic tenants or dealing with situations, these are all reasons why you would need a property manager today. Now, you don't need a property manager for every single situation. You also want to make sure that you have a team of individuals ready to act if you're not going to use a property manager. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have a paralegal that you trust, one that you can just pick up the phone or send a text message to and they can act on it or give you advice in real time. This is very important. And if you're going to choose a property manager to work with you, make sure that they have a paralegal that is part of their team. You don't want to enter into a property management contract and the next thing you know, you have to pay for a paralegal several, thousands of dollars just for an eviction process. You want to make sure that you're dealing with a property manager that has a paralegal within their team, so you're not paying high fees. Ideally, you want this coverage within the property management scope and within the property management budget and within what you're paying every single month. This is what we do at OLH Property Management. And under our legal guarantee package, we have full coverage of any LTB matter within our property management packages. So that is super, super important. Another big thing, if you do need a property manager, is to make sure that when you have a property that is vacant, you want to make sure that you get the absolute best exposure that you possibly can. You do not want a company that just posts to Facebook Marketplace or that just posts to Kijiji, especially if they're charging you 1 month's rent commission. Don't deal with those property managers. You want to deal with a property manager that has a real estate team as a part of their system. And I do. This is what we do. So you're not getting just a property manager, you're getting a licensed paralegal and you're getting a licensed realtor. So now when you have a vacancy, you're placing it on MLS and realtor.ca. And this is massive. It's so important because the way the market is starting to turn today, it's harder to find great tenants. Some properties are forced to lower their prices. You want to make sure that you're very well connected and that your property is also listed on realtor.ca. And this is vital for exposure. And another thing is a screening is very important as well. I feel that posting on realtor.ca and working with a realtor also gives you a layer of security when it comes down to screening tenants, because a lot of tenants, especially the bad ones, are not going to call a realtor and they're not going to want to go through a real estate brokerage to rent the property when they are scamming landlords. So that is super important. Let's talk about interviewing a property management company. Now, landlords, this is the big part. This is what's most important. You need to get on the phone. You need to talk to a few different property managers and you need to ask them some very important questions. Now, I'm going to tell you from experience because I have owned a property management company for 23 years now, literally 23 years. So this is one of the very first things that I did in my adult life is I started a property management company. And I've been doing it for such a long time where I have operated this business in so many different ways. But now that I have experience in life, I have experience with mortgages, I have experience with fix and flips, I have experience with evictions, I have my own blood in this game. Now I run my business completely different and I run it with complete transparency. And this is what you want to figure out. You want to figure out whoever you're hiring for a property management company, that there is complete transparency with everything, which brings me to my first question that you're going to have to your potential property management company is maintenance and repairs. How they handle this. I'm going to tell you how most companies do is you're going to get invoices from internal from the company. You're never going to see a quote or an invoice coming directly from the contractor. This is very rare that you're going to see this. And if this is how the company you're dealing with is designed, if you ask them the question, where how do I get charged for doing any maintenance? And you want to make sure they answer this. And then your follow-up question is, do I see the quotes coming directly from the contractor? If the answer is no, run. You do not want to deal with this company because what they do is you're getting charged a 100% or more markup. Believe me when I say this, I've been in this business long enough and I know exactly what's happening. I have seen hundreds of different property management contracts from hundreds of different companies out there in Ontario. I know what they say, I know what they read, I know what they're doing, and I know how they're charging you landlords. So you want to be very cautious with this. Okay, like my company, we're completely transparent, and this is how I choose to be because a landlord is running a business. We are all business owners, and we all deserve to know, and we have a right to know what our numbers are and what our calculations are and what our bottom lines are in running this business. We need to make decisions. We need to make real time decisions. And if the landlord is succeeding, I am succeeding. And that's the way that I feel is the way that property management companies should run their businesses. Okay. So make sure that companies are not hiding this from you. You want to make sure. The next interview question is rent reporting. Does your company do rent reporting? So this is a relatively new technology. It's been only out for a very short amount of time, and very few, if not almost none, actually do the rent reporting themselves. They have to go to a third party company and pay them and set it up. But even then, the technology today, in this moment of this video, is still not here to make this a really simplified, easy way of doing it. The next interview question I want to touch on is tenant placement at realtor.ca. You want to ask them is, what kind of exposure am I getting? Where are you posting these ads? They're going to answer you. If they do not say realtor.ca in their answer, run. You don't want to deal with them because now they're not connected with the realtor and they have to outsource to a realtor to get it on MLS and realtor.ca. So this means that they are not connected with a realtor. You do not want only marketplace ads or Kijiji ads or other websites. You want to get your listing on realtor.ca, and this is super important. This is what I do. We also post it on YouTube and the social medias. You're going to get shorts. You're going to get different videos. We're going to do hashtags. These are all questions you want to find out with the company, whether they do all of this, whether they do videos, they do walkthroughs. Most companies do not. And most companies don't do it well at all, and they don't do a good job. Most property management companies don't even know how hashtags work. This is also vital. And it's especially important for a lot of really niche properties out there where you need to have hashtags and you need to have a reference. And I'll give you an example on a realtor.ca ad. Uh, if you have a hashtag and you have more photos and more videos and more shorts, if they Google it, they're going to fall onto your property and they're going to connect with you. And not only that, everyone's scrolling right now, and if any of these tenants are looking for properties online, guess what ends up popping up in the area they're looking at because of hashtags and because of how the internet and search engine optimization works. It's going to be your listing. Super important. You want to make sure with a company that knows exactly how to lease properties. This is so very important. The next question is the screening. Most landlords are now aware that screening is one of the most vital parts in property management. If a company does not do good at screening or they do not care to be great at screening, run. You want to ask them, how do you screen my tenant? And you want to find out exactly what they do. A lot of companies, they're going to say, oh, yeah, we do Equifax, TransUnion credit reports. But I want you to make sure, are they doing it themselves as the property management company, or are they receiving this credit check directly from the tenant? If they receive it directly from the tenant, run. You don't want to deal with this company. You want to make sure that this company basically owns the information, owns the details. They do not receive one piece of information that is not analyzed and that is not really looked at, and that they truly really understand how to read credit reports. So with my company, we also own Landlord Easy. We do the credit reports directly on our own platform. We own the information. So that way, when we do screening, we're also checking the records of LTV orders. That's a question you want to ask a company as well. Do they back check any of these details? Okay, so super important. Screening is no joke. You have to make sure that the company that you're going to be dealing with really understands how to screen properties. The next most important part is evictions and non-payment. How is this property management company handling an eviction? What if a tenant does damages or breaks windows or does damage to the property? What if they don't pay rent? You need to ask the property managers how you handle evictions. And whoever you're dealing with on the phone, if they are not able to answer these questions and they're not confident with these answers, you need to run. You need to find a company that is confident, because whoever is answering the phone on one of the most important calls that a property management company receives, it's you, the lead, the potential business. If they don't have somebody who is able to answer this phone and to really talk confidently and to really be able to sell you on their services, then you need to run, because guess what? Who is managing your property? It's probably someone, no offense, but somebody who is minimum wage, who doesn't have any educational background, who probably doesn't know anything about property management, who probably doesn't know anything about paralegal or eviction services. That's who's managing your property. Do you want that? No. So you want to make sure that we're getting these answers really, really confidently. Okay. So the next question is, do you have an in-house paralegal? If they don't work with this company. Work with a company that has an in-house paralegal, because the last thing you want is to have to outsource another paralegal who doesn't know any of the scenario. They don't have any of the inside records. They're not dealing with things in real time with property management, and they're going to spend more time figuring things out. There's going to be more expenses from the property manager. So you want to make sure that you are dealing with a paralegal property manager that's within the company. You don't want to work with a company that outsources. Believe me when I say this. I know this. I've been around for a long time in this business, and this is why I chose to hire paralegals and train them as property managers, because I believe that I cannot train a property manager to be a paralegal, but I can train a paralegal to be a really great property manager. And that's who's managing your property. So that is super important. And you want to make sure that when it comes down to these things with evictions, there is no time to waste. There is no time for an error. There is no time for us to pick up the phone, to start talking to a paralegal, to start figuring out to sign retainers and send them to the landlord. There's no time for all this. We have to act. We have to act fast. Okay. If it's non-payment of rent, you need to get that N4 out. And after the 14 days, you need to send the L1. So you need to move really fast with these things. You need to find out what the cost is, if there's hourly rates, if what the fixed fee rates are, et cetera, and what kind of deals that this property management company has with that paralegal. And I can guarantee you that most companies, they're probably getting some type of finder's fee for this. They won't tell you this, but they are. And that's going to make a more expensive journey in evicting this tenant for you. So you also want to find out who is actually managing your property. And you want to ask them, who's managing my property? I want to know, what kind of individual is this? You want to know how experienced they are. You want to know what they know about property management and the legal issues that arise in managing properties. Because, like I said, I've been in this business for a long time. There's a lot of property managers who hire minimum wage individuals and just hire whatever the cheapest help that they can possibly get, and they are here answering phones, answering emails, getting back to the tenants, and just click, 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 click. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. No, you don't want a property manager like this. You want a property manager that is a licensed paralegal. You want one that knows this business inside and out. Because if the property manager paralegal knows how to handle situations, they know what to say, they know what not to say, they know exactly what situations and how to handle those situations, that is going to help in the overall picture in dealing with the tenant. So if you have somebody who's not experienced, they may say the wrong things, and they're going to get trapped into some type of issue where now you need a licensed paralegal, and it's going to cost the landlord more money. So the next question is online portals. You want to know what kind of online portal this property management company uses. And this is very important because you want to make sure that you, the landlord, has access to this portal and that the tenant has access to this portal. But you want to know what information you actually have access to, because a lot of property management companies, what they like to do is they like to lock you in to a property management contract and not give you any information, and make it difficult for you if you ever want to run or if you ever want to leave this company or break away from them. So you want to make sure, how transparent are they? What are you seeing? Are you seeing all the rent payments? Are you seeing all the notices? Are you seeing all the maintenance quotes and invoices? Are you seeing all the communication? And a lot of these items are blocked out from landlords because they don't want you to see these details. So you want to make sure that you're getting these details. And if the answer is no to all of this, then you need to run. Don't deal with this company. Deal with a company who is fully 100% transparent with all of the details. Because if they are trying to lock you in and withhold information, there are different things that they're making extra money with, especially with the maintenance and paralegals and evictions. So if you're not seeing the entire records of invoicing, et cetera, especially invoices coming from the contractor, you don't want to work with this company. Okay, so that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, you have to trust your gut. You have to trust your instinct. Get on the phone with these property managers. Make sure that you believe in them, what they're saying, and feel them out if you feel that they are being truthful and that they're knowledgeable and they know exactly what they're talking about. So I think this video is going to help a lot of landlords in figuring out whether they need a property manager or if they don't need a property manager, and who to keep close at their fingertips in case any situations were to happen if they don't have a property manager. So landlords, thanks again. Feel free to send me a message, write me a comment. And if you need help, you need guidance, you need a property manager, if you need a paralegal, if you need a realtor to rent your property, feel free to reach out to me and my team all across Ontario. We're here to help you. Thanks, landlords, and happy landlording.